So we're moving on to the MDF cabinet. We're gonna prime this right now and do all this fun stuff with it. What I'm gonna do, there's not too much different on the technique of actually painting it. There's just a couple things that you wanna look out for when you get started. So raw edges like this, where we've sanded them down, it's just a bare edge. That's gonna suck up your paint or your primer quite a bit. So you're probably gonna have to put 2 or 3 coats on a space like, or on a surface like that. And then you're gonna have to sand it nice and smooth again. And then the paint will take on its first and second coat. But anything there where there's a raw edge, like here, the one that's gonna be above right up in here, that type of a thing, you don't have to worry about the inside of holes and stuff like that because they'll be covered by the parts that are going into it. You also don't have to worry about the T-mold slot area because that's gonna be covered by the T-mold. But for the most part, it's just those bare edges that you got to watch for. So start on those, get them all done first, and then go back and do the rest. This here, where we have our cutout opening in here, that's a raw edge on the inside. That's going to take a while for the paint to take in there. The coin door, it gets covered, so obviously we're not going to do that on there. And then our edge where we've kind of joined this one together and did that kind of funky shape in these crevice areas here where they join together, you're going to want to hit that with at least a couple layers as well, because that's going to absorb a little bit of paint in there. Now, as I've said in the other videos, we are doing a full wrap of decals on this, so it'll just cover whatever. So if there's a seam, a line, or anything like that that looks a little kind of blemished or whatever, it will be covered with a decal, so I'm not overly concerned. Other things like where I was showing you before, when building these, we use Bondo to fill these screw holes and stuff. You're going to want to hit those areas first, just give them a quick little spray, then go around and then do all that everywhere, and then start on one side and then just do a 360 around the actual cabinet itself. It's going to take you probably, at least on a cabinet this size, it's taking 2 of each can. So it's taking 2 cans of primer, 2 cans of lacquer. If you have something full size, you're probably going to want to do at least 2 to 5 of each can to get yourself a really, really nice finish. Here in Canada, they're $14.99 a can, so it could be a $100 paint job on a large cabinet or whatever. If you want to go bulk and do whatever, then you can do it however you want to cheap out on that and make sure that you get something within your budget that you want to make work. But this is the nicest, most durable finish that you're going to get on a cabinet when we're all said and done. So I'm going to move on and get this all painted up for you, and we'll go over anything that I might have missed. Oh, the last but not least, I didn't say it in my other video, but when I'm spraying back and forth with the primer, I'm just giving it a nice coat. So it could be 1 to 2 inch difference in the line all the way across. When I'm doing the lacquer, I'm covering 1 inch at a time, and I'm taking my time doing it too. So I'm making sure that I overcoat and overspray my last line as I'm going down. You're not just trying to barely cover it. You want to have, you'll notice on that lacquer finish that as it's going down, it just has this nice gloss sheen. And then you'll see me go back every once in a while because you can actually see where you've missed a spot, and you got to get it while it's wet still, so it'll kind of meld into the rest of the paint job so that it's nice and flat and glossy for you. All right, so that was the last thing I want to say. I will paint all this up and we'll go over it when I'm done. Okay, so I had a bit of a camera problem, so I didn't get to show you me painting it in real time. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It looks the same as the last one. I did the same technique. The one thing that I did realize in this one, and I was hoping that I wouldn't have this problem, but it kind of happens all the time, so I had a nice soft reminder of how this kind of can happen every once in a while. You get a flow differential from can to can. Sometimes halfway through the can starts to spray in a different way, that type of a thing. It's not a huge deal on the primer because it's easy to sand and that type of a thing. But you can see here where I got a little bit of drippage and stuff, and I was using the same crossover speed pattern, everything. You can see that it's super nice here. Everything's good. And then I get down to the bottom and it decided to do a little bit of dripping and stuff like that. It's not a huge deal. There's not actually like a big lump right there. It's just kind of the way it collects on here. It's also the fact that we're spraying on MDF, so you didn't see this on the plywood. The plywood sucks it right up. The MDF repels it a little bit as it has more of a slower seep into the actual wood itself. Also, I have the door open, the temperature change, it's later in the afternoon, that type of a thing. I got the fans going in here and stuff for ventilation. So all those things affect your spray, your dry time, and also, you know, things like this drip and stuff like that, because you get blowback and so on and so forth. So if you can get in a well ventilated area without a lot of air flow passing by with like wind per se, then you're going to have a way better spray, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you. But this is the MDF cabinet. It's all primed up and ready to rock. I'm just going to wait for it to dry. I'm going to give it a quick sand. I'll show you what I'm doing with that. We'll put that in there as well, and then I'll let that dry for a little bit, hit any extra spots to clean it up and so on and so forth. But as it sits right now, I'm a lot happier with this in the priming stage with the MDF cabinet than I was with the plywood, but that's just my personal preference. You might feel completely different and disagree all you like, but in the end, they'll both be beautiful cabinets, and we're happy all the way around. So we'll wait till this dries. All right, so everything's dry on here. I'm going to start sanding it. I showed you there where I had a couple of little ripples and things like that. So I want to show you what they turned out to be after they dry. I've got a couple little blemishes here that I'm going to fix and finish. But for the most part, I just have to rough this up. It's looking pretty good. I'm probably going to give another shot around this corner here, because like I said before, where it soaks up all the paint, what it does is it leaves it fuzzy still. So you want to have this smooth surface all the way around, so when your lacquer goes over top of it, it looks nice and smooth and everything's all good. So we're going to hit that with another coat, and then if that doesn't finish it off nice, we'll wait for it to dry, we'll hit it with another coat, so on and so forth, till it's all done and everybody's good to go. Okay, so the worst spot that I had was down here on the bottom. Now you can still see it, hopefully, with the reflection from the sun and all the fun stuff here. I'm rubbing my hand over this, and I actually don't feel a bump or a ridge or whatever. Not to say that it's not there and that I wouldn't do anything with this. I would sand this down really nice until that's kind of gone. That will be very, very easy to do. It'll probably take me 30 seconds to clean this up. I'll see if I can get a little section moving on right here right now, so you can see how easy it is for it to disappear. So right there, you got a little bit of a ridge. What you'll do is you'll get this kind of junk that sticks up on your sandpaper. I have a little X-Acto knife blade that I just use to scrape that off to keep it clean, so I can keep using it as I go. But basically, you're going to want to just keep doing that. Little circles, especially with the MDF, you want to use circular motion. It'll hide in the paint and stuff later. Anyway, you get the gist. So it's all gone right here, and then I can just keep going. So it's not going to take me very long, 30 seconds to a minute. This whole piece will be finished. I'll go over the whole machine. It should probably take me about 5 to 10 minutes to sand this out and get it ready for paint. And then we're going to start doing that. But I'm going to hit these extra open-faced pieces first a couple of times before I go too far. I'll get rid of a lot of that, and then I'll hit it, and I'll probably get a little drip along the edge or do whatever, just so that I'm preparing myself for the actual paint, and we're good to go. So when I start painting, I will show you the whole process with that, if we don't have another camera malfunction. Woohoo!